Best of r/entitled parents episode 71. I'm simply loving r/entitled parents feed, so I decided to share my own story that happened years ago. Entitled parent here is actually my own grandmother, and I have 1,000 stories of her BS to share with you. So I'll try to give you my first post and I hope you'll like it. Excuse my English, it's my second language. Main characters, me, my sister entitled grandma, e.g. second grandma from my mother's side, and grandpa, MG and MP. As I said before, this particular story happened years ago. I was 6 years old, my sister was the same age, we're twins and that's a quite important info in this story, and EG had me and my sister for summer vacation for 2 weeks. After that time was left, she was supposed to drive us to our MG. One day during our stay with EG it was especially hot weather, and because of that I became sick. I got quite a strong heat stroke. I guess I was not drinking properly, did not wear my hat, and as a small child I did not realize how sunny and hot it was outside. Later that night when I started to complain about my headache, EG just gave me some painkillers. She put me and sis to sleep, and the next morning she went to work. Seriously, she left me and my sis at home alone. One kid sick as hell and second not knowing what to do with that situation. MG was living in the same town so EG could give her a call and make arrangements. MG could take us and take care of me, so EG could work. But nope, she just decided to leave us in her flat, helpless. In one moment my heat stroke made me puke all over the bed because my entire world felt like it's swirling and hurting me. Sister did only sensible thing a 6-year-old was able to do in a situation like this. She called to EG's work. At least EG left us a phone number to her office, and told her that my condition was getting worse. Instead of EG coming back home from work, an ambulance came to the apartment, took me to the hospital, and the next couple of days were spent in a haze. My heat stroke was so bad that I had to stay in the hospital for the entire week. EG came with my sis every day to cheer me up. She brought presents and tried to entertain me during visiting hours. So if this doesn't sound awful, grab your popcorn and coke. It gets worse, because it's not the end. I'll remind you obs again. Me and sis have been only 6 years old. We did not know a shit. My week in a hospital has ended. I was released and EG was supposed to bring me and sis to MG's place. We went there straight from the hospital. In front of MG's house, EG stopped the car, and convinced us right there that we should not tell MG about me being sick. That we should keep it all as our secret. She made us promise that, and since we loved her we wanted to keep our word. So when we arrived to MG, she and MP could not turn their heads about why there were marks from plasters and needles on my arms. EG was just so stupid that she forgot to wash those away from my skin. Since MP was a frequent visitor of hospitals, he had a condition with his blood. He immediately understood that I spent some time on a hospital drip feed, but why? MG and MP did not knew anything about it and they completely lost their cool, extremely worried about me. They immediately started questioning us and soon both of us broke the secret, weeping and scared, because we did not understood their fury. After the secret was out, MP and MG made a couple of long calls, first one to our parents, which have been totally unaware of the whole situation, and the second was directly to EG. Believe me, a holy war started with this. Grandmas hated each other since then. MG threatened to EG that she's going to call to her boss and make sure to get her fired for what she has done. Our parents were furious with EG as well because every time they called her she claimed that kids are fine. It was just a terrible mess. When the whole hell broke loose, EG behaved like a victim. I'll never forget how she reacted when we met after that. "Why did you said that? You promised me not talk about it," said an adult to 2 small kids who only wanted to please everyone. Yeah, my grandma is just pretty terrible person. For years relationships in our family were pretty fucked up thanks to her. And to be honest, she's still the same till this day. Sorry for long post, hope you liked it a little. Edit. I saw some errors in my writing so I hope I fixed the worst mistakes. Thank you. Next. Long time lurker. First time poster. A bit of backstory. My father has been abusive since he married my mom. He has extreme anger issues and I saw a lot of it when I was younger than 7, which is before they got divorced. My mom never reported anything, so when they were getting divorced, The judge was going to make my dad have full custody because my mom has a history of mental illness. She was lucky to get 50-50 custody because my brother and I told CPS about what we had seen my dad do. My father was forced into counseling and everyone thought he was doing better. My mom was still terrified him and was diagnosed with PTSD. During their marriage, my mother had attempted suicide 2 times and was sent into psychiatric care 4 times. My brother was 7 years older than me, so he remembers a lot more than I do. Still, a huge part of my childhood is my father beating on my mother. I was diagnosed with autism when I was 11 and my father didn't believe I was autistic, but he hid that fairly well. My father's anger has always been around throughout my life. He's slapped me a few times, but one time in particular permanently changed my life then and in the future. It started out as a normal morning when I was 12. I woke up at 9 and watched some television for a few hours. We had cooked a big meal the day before and we were all cleaning up. It was my job to do the dishes, but I was a clumsy kid and I dropped a bowl. My father out of nowhere snapped, grabbed the bowl, that was full of water, smacked it over my head and shoved me to the ground. My brother yelled at him to stop but he just told me to get back in my room and not come out, which I did. I could hear some arguing outside my door, but I called my mom and told her what happened. I had a tendency to overreact and so she called my brother and talked to him for 20 minutes before calling and saying she was coming to get me. She was terrified because she thought he had gotten better. Her biggest fear during the divorce was that my father would hurt us, but the courts and all of her friends told her she was overreacting. That experience made me cut all contact with my father. I don't plan on letting him come to my high school graduation in 2 years, nor my wedding or anything else a normal father would be at. I'm now 16, diagnosed with autism, depression, OCD, and PTSD. I haven't had a friend in 5 years due to extreme trust issues and have a tendency to fight. A lot of my triggers are things that happen daily, like touching and spontaneous activity. My father is still fighting for some custody of me, but my mother won't let him near me. At this point, he's dead to me. Thank you. Next. Honestly, there is so many stories I could post about this woman, it's insane. But today I want to post about her demanding we change the name of our soon-to-be-born daughter. Yeah, you read that right. She literally demanded we change the name of our daughter to a G name because it's a family tradition. This is after she knows we've been arguing for months about it before finally settling on a name we both agreed on. She even pressured her own daughter into this too, which is why my boyfriend and most of his siblings also have J names. And to top it all off, this is basically just narcissism on her part since guess what her name is? Jenny. So she just wants pretty much everyone in the family to have a G name like her. That and plus she's demanding to be at the hospital when my daughter is born. When I've already told my boyfriend the only one I want in the room is him. Anyway, rant done and just wanted to share this. Thank you. Next. TLDR. Entitled Mom tries to buy the shirt off my back in public and gets upset when I refuse for several logical reasons. So this is my first post on this sub. Honestly, I have a lot more from when I worked retail and as a tutor at an elementary school, but this one happened just the other day so I thought I'd post it. To give a bit of background, I am a huge fan of old Timmy shows, Golden Girls, MASH, I Dream of Jeannie, etc., and generally collect merchandise from the shows. A lot of friends my age, I'm 24, know about my obsession, and while they may not watch the shows, I've had friends buy me stuff for my birthday for all these shows. So about a week ago I stopped at a Cracker Barrel. I love their pancakes, and noticed they had I Love Lucy shirts for sale. This is by far my favorite TV show ever and I just had to have one of the shirts. They had one left in stock that was in XL. I'm a large so it is a bit big on me, but I bought it regardless. While they said they would get a new shipment the next week, I didn't mind buying the larger size thinking it might shrink in the wash. It did a little but still looks a bit baggy on me. Fast forward to the next Saturday and I decide to wear my new favorite shirt out in public for the first time. I went out to the large shopping center where you can walk outdoors and just window shop if you want, which I did often just to get out of the house. While walking I pass a mom and what I assume is her daughter, a little girl who didn't look more than 7 or 8, and when I passed by I heard the daughter, Edie, gasp and turn to the EM and say, "Mommy, remember that show I Love Lucy?" He has a shirt on for it. I could only smile and kept walking on. It gave me some hope for the next generation to know that a show from the 1950s is something an 8-year-old still knows in 2020. Anyway, I walk on for a couple more minutes and stop in front of the window of a used bookstore and peered inside to see if their weekly book recommendations shelf had changed. I'm a sucker for places like this and end up buying at least a couple of books a week from places like that. I had stopped for maybe all of 10 seconds when I heard the natural mating call of a Karen. Excuse me, young man. I looked up to see it was the same mother and daughter from before. Hello, am I in your way? Suddenly stopping on a walkway can be annoying, so I figured I had just accidentally blocked them. Oh no, I was just wondering about your shirt. You see, my daughter is just a big I Love Lucy fan and I was wondering where you got it. Oh, very nice. I'm a big fan too. I found this at a Cracker Barrel about 10 minutes from here. They always have some great older stuff. Oh. But I don't like Cracker Barrel. Oh. I'm sorry. Well, can I just buy the shirt from you? Excuse me? I said I got it at Cracker Barrel. I'm sure they will have some more if you ask. I was honestly confused at this point cause this lady had barely spoken 2 sentences to me and was suddenly asking weird questions like this. But I told you I don't like Cracker Barrel. You going there to buy this shirt doesn't mean you have to eat there, you know? No, it's the principle of the matter. I don't like it there. Now just sell me your shirt. My daughter is a big fan. Now I have a 10 in my purse, let me just grab it. At this point the EM is starting to dig in her purse for what I assume is money. I am just stunned at this point for several reasons. 1. I am currently wearing the shirt she wants to buy and I have nothing else to wear unless I went home right then and there. 2. I paid roughly $20 for this shirt, so $10 isn't worth it at all. 3. Who goes up to a stranger to buy the clothing they are currently wearing? That sounds so unsanitary. 4. The shirt looks baggy on me, one size up. It would probably drown her daughter in it from how small she looked. 5. I'm not giving up my new favorite shirt to a stranger, especially since I love this show so much. I try to explain all this to EM and start to walk away while she is still digging in her purse. No, come back here, I want that shirt for my daughter. She is a much bigger fan than you and deserves that shirt. Sell it to me now. You're lucky I'm offering to pay anything for it at all. And she starts waddling after me. At this point people are starting to gather watching me trying to speed walk off as this lady chases after me and yelling for me to give her my shirt while the daughter screams, "But mommy, you said I could have it." I hear her start to threaten me with all sorts of legal action and police involvement if I didn't give her my shirt. I finally came to a corner of the walkway of the shopping center and the second I turned it, ducked into some clothing boutique to hide. I could hear the EM and ED still shouting out for me. After a few minutes of pretending to look at clothes in the store, I think I stood out cause I was the only guy in the store and was pretending to look at dresses. I quickly booked it out of there and to my car to leave. While I understand the little girl wanted a shirt like mine, I don't understand how a mom could refuse to go to the store and purchase a shirt for the girl and instead tries to buy/sue someone for theirs. Thanks for reading, y'all. Thank you. Next. This won't be as eventful as other entitled parents stories, but I couldn't find another place to put this. So me and my mum are driving around the shopping center after school one day. Now for context, the center has an underground parking area and it is pouring outside, so you can imagine it was pretty packed. We go driving around and we find a parking spot in the underground. A guy was starting to leave and we decide to take it. For more context, our car was a burgundy Hyundai Elantra, which is a small car. As the guy is backing out, a huge, white, Ford comes to the right of us to overtake us. We live in Australia, which blocks the guy in a bit, but he manages to get out and drive off. But we decide to wait for the Ford to overtake us so we have enough room to get into the spot, and then this car decides to drive into the spot we patiently waited for. My mum was so peeved she started blaring the horn, but she kept parking in the spot. We then decide to drive past and we find another spot not that far. We get out and walk past the mother getting her kids out of the car. My mum wanted to confront her on it, but I just wanted to go into the shops and get on with our day. But mum had some words to say. She goes up to her and starts with, "Mum, we were waiting for that spot." Keep in mind we also had our blinkers on to indicate we were turning into the spot. The mother then says, Oh, I didn't see you. I was wondering what that honking was. She overtook us and stole the spot we waited for, and she said she didn't see us and didn't hear us blaring our horn. Sure she didn't. Some guy who saw the whole thing confirmed that he saw her overtake and take the spot even though we waited for. We just ended it there and went on with our day. That mother is gonna send a very good example to her kids. Thank you. Next. Please don't be too harsh. It's my first post in here. This story happened about 5 years ago. I'm a firefighter in a Western European country. My FD is one of the larger voluntary FDs in my region. So we are all unpaid and have regular day jobs. One night, it was a Thursday at 1 AM, we were called to an emergency into the city center by EMTs. An older lady injured her spine in her apartment and the EMTs needed us to help rescue her, because her apartment was on the second floor, third if you count the American way, and the old building only had a narrow staircase and no elevator. So the only way to get her down safely is through loading the stretcher onto our turntable ladder. Not sure that's the right term, but that's what the dictionary said. The ladder needs to run its main engine to be able to operate the hydraulic system. I was standing, obviously in full uniform, on the street waiting for the ladder to come down to assist with stretcher once it comes down. A woman in pajamas started approaching me, but I didn't pay too much attention to her. She didn't at all look like a Karen, but definitely behaved that way. So this is how it went down. Karen, excuse me. Me, yes. Karen, are you training right now? I thought about giving a sarcastic answer, but I restrained myself from doing so. Remember, it's 1 AM on a weekday. Me, no mom, this is an actual emergency. Would you? She then interrupts me, before I can say anything else. Karen, I need you to turn off that thing. Points to the ladder. My son can't sleep over the loud engine noise. Me, mom, this won't be possible. This is an emergency. Would you please clear the area so we can work? At this point the patient has been loaded onto the ladder's basket and they proceeded to descent. Karen now almost screaming, my son can't sleep. Turn IT off. Me, now a little annoyed. Please clear the area, now. Karen, I wanna talk to your commander. I then proceed to point out our squad leader, hoping he would tell her the same thing, resulting in her leaving us alone. She then huffs and storms off. I see her arguing extensively with him, while we were loading the stretcher into the ambulance. Unfortunately I didn't hear most of the conversation that unfolded. I only overheard the last few words. Karen, annoyed and screaming, then I will file charges against you. My squad leader just sends her to the 2 cops standing on the side of the road. I observed this from a little distance, because I didn't want to deal with this anymore, but still found it to be amusing enough to observe. She approaches the cops, tells them her problem, and they just burst out laughing for some reason. I then proceed to mount into our fire truck again with a smile on face. I just found it so amusing how those 2 cops laughed at her. The nerve of some people. Thank you. Next. I worked at an amusement park at the time. We got snooty parents/kids/etc all the time. Figured I'd start sharing some stories. This is technically a repost, but it got taken down, so I'm putting it here, hoping it'll stay up this time. Third time's a charm, am I right? So, here I am, kind of dreading coming into work at this point because I know I have about 3 days left of working as a ride operator. From there, I would go to work at the National Archives, or the Smithsonian. I think I had decided on National Archives at this point, but I honestly don't remember. This becomes relevant later. So, I'm working at my favorite ride in the park. It's called the Music Express. If you know the ride that spins in a circle, goes up and down a little, goes backwards sometimes, it's that. They're everywhere. Ours, in this case, has a seatbelt and a latch bar. I'm working there with someone, which is unusual, as we were understaffed in that section due to a promotional event we were doing. We load up everyone, and when I got back down to the entrance after double checking my partner's work, and mine, we really care about safety. You were fired for not being up to standard on safety. I get someone who we'll call Karen. She asks me to come over to her, and asks me to look at her daughter's arms. The daughter is about 5 or so. The exchange goes as follows. Me for me, K for Karen, Katie or Karen's daughter. Me, what am I supposed to be looking at? The daughter has some various bruises and cuts, nothing out of the usual for an active kid. K. What do you mean? What are you supposed to be looking at? Look at her arm. Me. I'm sorry mom. I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be looking at here. K. You cut my daughter. Me. Honestly confused. Do you mind showing me where? K. Ugh. KD. Show him where he cut you. KD points to the inside of her elbow. I now realize exactly where this is going. This is going to be an entitled mother trying to get something because her baby is hurt. It continues. Me. Figuring out which cut it is on the kid's arm. Are you okay? Is there anything I can get you? K. Is she okay? She's been screaming at you for the past 5 minutes and other people have been trying to get your attention. I want you to get her ice at the very least. Me. Knowing this is all wrong, I don't have ice here, but I can direct you to first aid. K. Cutting me off. No, we're on the ride. We want to ride it, and she needs ice now. Me. As I said, I can direct you to first aid. K. Fine. We'll do it your way. We'll go to first aid, but we're not riding. She said this like it was some sort of threat. Saying I'm not riding as a threat isn't new to me anymore. I'm used to it. But I do also want to add a quick addendum that once we check all of the seats we can't leave the ride area due to safety concerns I won't get into. New addition. FCW is friendly co-worker. Me. That's fine. I can't go with you to first aid though. K. What? Why? Me. It's a safety concern because. K. I'm a 9-year season pass holder and I know you can come with me. Me. Having finally gotten them out of their cars like I said before, I can't. K. Haven't you heard the customer is always right? You're coming with me. Me. I can't. However, if you follow certain path you can reach first aid. K. Gets to entrance and sees guest service flag. Why can't you have excellent guest service like the person who got that? You're terrible at your job. I'm a 9-year season pass holder and work for the state. I'm going to have you fired. Me. Actually, I earned that flag. I also have pointing to something on my shirt. This because I'm one of the best operators in the park. K. No you're not. Get me some ice from that booth and we'll be on our way. Me. I'm sorry. As I've said before, there's no ice in the booth. K. FCW. Get KD some ice from the booth. FCW. I can't. We don't have ice in the booth. K. Stomping towards the booth. I'm getting you both fired. I'm a 9-year season pass holder and work for the state. Me. At this point, feed up with these antics she put on for the past 15 minutes. So you outrank me because you work for the state and I work for amusement park? K. Yes. Me. In about 2 weeks, I'll be working for the national government in DC, which means, by your own standards, I outrank you. K. Fuming with anger. Get me a pen and a sheet of paper. I am writing down both of your names and having you fired. Me. Grabs a sheet of paper and pull the pen off of my visor that I always have with me. My name is Average Dude 1999. K. Pushes down on the pen so hard that the top of the ballpoint pen pops off and the ink with it. Mighty convenient, isn't that? Get me another pen. She whips the pen at me, which I dodge. FCW. Hands her another pen. My name is Friendly Co-worker. K. How do I know your name is Averaged 1999? Keep in mind, by this point, she had checked my ID on 2 separate occasions before this and I have a name tag that clearly displays my name on my chest. At this point, my memory gets fuzzy as I was completely caught off guard from Karen harassing me for a solid 20 minutes. She eventually leaves and I try my best to going back to being my usually cheery operator self, you know, the one that has multiple awards from the park and one from a training company, as well as having been videotaped for random screening of the park to then be later used as a model for how to be a good operator. When my supervisor comes over and tells me I need to see the head of ride operations, HRO, Karen had apparently accused me of assaulting her and her daughter, being an overall rude and arrogant jerk, making suggestive comments, as well as being rude to other guests, as well as FCW. Head of Ride Operations asks for my side of the story. I say that I was working at the Music Express with FCW. When she stops me, HRO, wait, you don't mean other ride? Me, what? Is that what she said? HRO, just asking. Me, well, Neither me or FCW are trained at other ride, and only one person can be operating it at a time. HRO, well, she did say that right. Me, laughing at the stupidity of it and relief no, as I said, that would not be possible. That's basically how the convo went, and FCW confirmed everything I said. We were both sent home for the day, with pay, to make sure she wouldn't try to start anything more. The next day I come in to find out that multiple people on the ride and in line at the Music Express had reported her for berating me and just wanted to make sure I wouldn't be fired. Because of the statements of those people, combined with mine and FCW's oral and written accounts of what happened, she had her season pass revoked and was banned from the park for the rest of the year. A satisfying ending, if you ask me. Thanks for reading this. I know it's long, but I just discovered this subreddit, and this felt too good to not share.